I couldn't sleep tonight for some reason, and about an hour after everyone had gone to bed, I heard a conversation behind the wall. "Well, Mike, I have a headache and you have to get up early tomorrow," my daughter replied to her husband. Eventually, Anna fell asleep, and I even felt a little sorry for my son-in-law. Just a little bit. It's a joke the guy was on a business trip for 3 weeks, just returned, and then on the same day my mother-in-law came to visit. However, it wasn't my fault. It was my daughter's fault she had a headache and had to get up early. In the end, I fell asleep and never found out how my son-in-law managed to sleep. In the morning, Anna was really in a hurry to go to work, but Mike was in no hurry to get up because it was his day off. When I got out of bed, I quietly walked to the slightly ajar door of the neighboring bedroom and saw Mike sleeping in a crouch. He stirred, and I immediately backed away from the door and went to the kitchen to make breakfast. As we ate, I caught his gaze a few times, and it surprised me. There was something different about the way he was looking at me, an intensity that made me both nervous and intrigued at the same time. And then he really caught me off guard. While I was doing the dishes, Mike walked by and accidentally bumped into me. "Oh, sorry, Zoe," I tripped, he mumbled, trying to apologize. That's when I decided to take a chance. I said, "It's okay, son-in-law. It happens to everyone." He smiled and said, "Mother-in-law, how about we have a little celebration while Anna is at work?" I couldn't resist and agreed. While my son-in-law ran to get a bottle of wine, I set the table. Mike brought 2 bottles. "Are you trying to get me drunk, son-in-law?" I joked. He only smiled crookedly and started pouring. We sat for a long time, talking about all sorts of things our lives, his job, my experience raising Anna. He even asked me about my own marriage to Anna's father, and we laughed a few times about old stories. Then he started complaining about my daughter. He said he came home from a business trip and wasn't even greeted. He came back, but Anna told him at night that she had to get up early. I could see how upset he was. He had tried so hard to be the perfect husband, but he felt unappreciated. Anyway, I hugged my son-in-law and comforted him a little. It made me sad to see him like that, and I realized that my daughter was wrong. We had a good time, but it was time to call it a day. Anna would be back from work soon. The next day, the story repeated itself. To make a long story short, my son-in-law and I became good friends. When my daughter went to work, we were already preparing another holiday. One day, as we sat together, Mike talked about how he sometimes felt completely alone, as if no one understood him. He said that he had always admired me, not only as a mother-in-law, but as a person, and that he felt more comfortable with me than anyone else. I listened, nodding as he poured out his heart, and felt a connection between us that was hard to ignore. It was a strange but comforting feeling. We were 2 people who understood each other in a world that often seemed indifferent. The days flew by, and soon it was time for me to leave. But I decided I would stay with Anna longer this time. In fact, I planned to visit them more often. At home alone is boring, and here with my son-in-law is more fun. One night, we decided to cook dinner together. We laughed as we tried to follow the recipe and made a mess in the kitchen. There was flour everywhere, and Mike even playfully smeared some on my nose. We ended up eating in the living room, surrounded by the mess we had made, and I couldn't remember the last time I had so much fun. Another day, Mike suggested we go for a walk. We ended up walking around the neighborhood, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about his dreams, his fears, and even some secrets he had never shared with anyone. It made me feel good that he was so trustworthy that he could confide in someone. We sat on a park bench for a while, admiring the sunset, and I realized how much I enjoyed his company. It wasn't just that we were having fun, but that there was a real connection between us. The important thing was that Anna didn't find out. I knew that what we were doing, spending so much time together, getting closer, was dangerous. But I couldn't help it. I liked being around Mike, and it felt like he needed me. And maybe I needed him too.